I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but nobody cares. And I want to talk to you today about why it's important to keep your wins to yourself sometimes. So you finally landed that big deal, or maybe you finished that project that nearly broke your brain, or maybe you hit your fitness goal and you feel like shouting from the rooftops because you're so proud of yourself, right? But then you share your win and crickets. Or worse, you catch maybe a side eye from a colleague, or you get that passive aggressive comment, "must be nice," from a friend. I think about this topic a little too much, I think, because I see it everywhere. And not just with me, I see it with other people. I've experienced this myself personally, and I see more and more and more of it. LinkedIn, for example, I've been on that platform for my entire career. I have so many connections and followers yet, when there have been times, maybe some pivotal times and moments in my life for me, it's silent. It's crickets, right? I've experienced many ups and downs in my career, job searches, and what everyone deems as networking. I don't know, it just doesn't seem to work out like it used to. People I have worked with in the past that I'm supposedly connected to seem to just go silent when you're trying to network, stay connected, or maybe you're looking for a position at their company that they work for. They kind of go silent. Sometimes even good friends or people that you thought were good friends, they just don't seem to support you when you're trying something new or taking on a new endeavor, like a hustle or a business, or you're trying something new or trying to put yourself out there when maybe it wasn't something that was in your comfort zone. On top of all of that, many of these social media platforms, they've become kind of a game where you need to pay for any kind of visibility. And I'm not so sure that even when you pay for LinkedIn or X or all of these other more premium areas of the platform, that you're getting all the visibility either. I've been, on this very interesting roller coaster of really watching the evolution of social media and this whole networking thing, because I think just even in the past few years, I feel like everything is changing so much. And with AI coming in, a lot of the things that I even read, the posts that I read, the content that people put out, it's just not the same. It's kind of all blah. I don't know if you guys can relate, but I start to look at some things that I really enjoyed on social media, and I'm pretty bored with it. The human dynamic is changing more than anything that I've ever experienced, and I'm finding that even my circle of friends and trusted people in my life, that's become the smallest level that it's ever been. And it's scary a little bit. The support that I do receive, oftentimes with a lot of the things that I'm doing or I'm striving for, my goals, it comes from complete strangers. It doesn't come from my family. It doesn't come from my friends. It doesn't even come from colleagues that I know. It basically comes from people that maybe have never met me, or people that have, come into my life in one way, shape, or form. So I find that very interesting. It feels like the more that you try to strive for something better, the more friends and the more people in your life you start to lose. It's bigger than, being around the best people to influence you in your life, because I talk a lot about that, right? The 5 people that you spend the most time with are the most influential in your life, and I totally agree with that. But I'm finding that some of the people that were part of my 5, I don't really feel good about. And I feel like it's become a negative influence in my life. So I've come to the conclusion that people don't actually sometimes want for you to succeed, especially those that have this victim mentality, or they feel like someone has wronged them, or they feel like everything's so hard and they spend so much time complaining. When you enter the room and you start talking about the goals that you have, the things that you're striving for, maybe the success that you're experiencing in something that you're working on, you kind of feel like they kind of shrink, or you don't hear from them as much, or there's just some of these comments that come out that are just not so inspiring. So let's talk about the science of Schadenfreude, I guess you would say. So German gave us the word for this, believe it or not, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right. It's the pleasure people get from someone else's misfortune. I guess Schadenfreude. I don't know if you guys know, let me know in the comments a proper way of saying that, but I found that online, and it turns out that it's more common than we would like to admit. A study in personality and social psychology, Bulletin, found that envy and comparison drive a surprising amount of resentment when others succeed. So a lot of the resentment, a lot of the complaining that we see, is it because we are so addicted and so involved in social media? We only see like the highlight reels, right? We don't see all the blood, sweat, and tears and the suffering or the mental strain that someone's going to get where they are, right? So I kind of wonder if that's up just because of where we are in our world and the content that we really look at. So in fact, Gallup reports that 84% of employees worldwide are disengaged at work. So when you're out there winning, it can shine a light on their lack of progress oftentimes, especially if it's a colleague. And the human brain doesn't like that mirror, right? Sometimes even if you're in business, right? How many of you maybe have some small businesses or you're entrepreneurs and you had certain friends that maybe are, trying to get started, or they've had a business for a while, and maybe you're just landing in some better places than others, and you kind of feel that strain in your relationship. So let's talk about why your wins don't land oftentimes the way you hope. So it's that social comparison theory. And people naturally measure their worth by comparing themselves to others, which is really sad, right? Your success isn't just your success. It becomes their measuring stick. And there's also something called the tall poppy syndrome. In many cultures and workplaces, people who stand out and cut down are often cut down because it threatens this group harmony, or it highlights insecurities. So how many times maybe in your role have you stood out, or you had great ideas to do something different, and your boss is like, I don't know if I want to see that be brought in. Sometimes it's like keeping this harmony, right? I know it sounds screwed up, but I've seen it. And sometimes there's just a limited emotional bandwidth. So according to research from the University of Cambridge, our brains only have so much capacity for empathy when resources are stretched. So celebrating others' wins isn't always a top priority. So what does this mean for you? This doesn't mean you should downplay your success. It means that you need to be strategic about where and how you share it. So pick your audience wisely. Share with mentors, close friends, or communities that are rooting for you, not with a colleague who gossips at every coffee break. And frame it with value. Instead of, I got promoted, try, I learned some negotiation strategies that helped me get promoted. Want me to share them? Now your win feels like a win for others too. And celebrate privately too. A study in the Journal of Passive Psychology shows that savoring personal achievements, even without external validation, it boosts long-term well-being. So the bottom line here is this. Nobody cares as much as you do, and that's a good thing. Your wins are for you. Protect them, celebrate them in the right rooms, and don't waste energy trying to convince the wrong audience to clap. After all, the people who matter, they will cheer loudly. The ones who don't, they were never in your corner anyway. So I hope you found this content helpful, found it valuable. Please consider sharing, please consider subscribing, and we will see you all on the next video.